What it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage. This is the Snacking and Hanging podcast, the Loading Snacks podcast, episode 49. With me, I have one of the usual suspects. Talk to the people, NuJoker.
Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody?
Not too much, sir. We are just chilling, kind of relaxing, coming out of the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Last time you guys heard from us, you got our top 10 games, each of our individual top 10 games of 2016. Did you see, how did you like the reactions to the top 10? Well, really to the top 3, I guess, more than anything. That's what we posted on YouTube. Was the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to be listening to the podcast to get everybody's individual top 10, and maybe we'll change that. We'll see. But did you get any reactions from that?
I mean, a lot of people like the top 3. I mean, especially the Overwatch. I mean, we kind of just hopped on the Overwatch bandwagon. So when a lot of people heard that was going to be in the top 3, that made some people very happy.
Yeah, let me
Very
ask you,
happy.
were you surprised by what our top 3 ended up being?
I kind of yes and no. Like, I think I kind of expected Gears to be somewhere in our top. I don't know if I necessarily thought it was going to be our number 1.
Yeah.
But it was, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I can see that. But it was like, oh man, we kind of got something going here now. But I guess maybe the order of where certain things were, the top 3
Yeah.
just necessarily wasn't initially what I was thinking it was going to be. But
Yeah,
nonetheless, those 3 are awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what I will say is that, definitively speaking, the top 3, and again, this makes sense, but the top 3 games are in fact all games that we played together. That, like, we all played. And I guess what I mean by that is, like, I played Inside. Inside was one of my favorite games of last year. But Sin didn't play Inside at all. You know what I'm saying? And you, like, saw me play, but you didn't play Inside, right? Right. So I feel like if the two of you had played Inside would have made our top 3. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, like, you played games that Sin and I didn't play, and Sin played games that neither one of us had Yakuza on our list.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So I think it was interesting, but I also think that it made for a bit of a more honest list. The way a lot of people, a lot of times when people put a list together like that, it's just kind of like they start throwing games out there and everybody kind of votes and they just make a decision. And, I think that this is a more honest list, at least of what we enjoyed and what we played, because what sits in our top 3, what got the most points, got the points it got because all of us played it and enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. I like the way that worked out. We'll certainly be doing more of that. But on to 2017, because that's where we are now.
Oh, yeah.
It is 2017, and CES just happened. I always get excited at CES, and we're not going to get too deep into CES, but I would like for us to have an opportunity to express how we feel about some of the things that we saw that we thought were exciting or cool or new or interesting or what have you. Now, I'm going to defer to you first. Yes, sir. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Ooh.
That's what I do. It's exciting for me. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. But, yeah, what did you see at CES that caught your attention or you thought was exciting? Before I do that, Consumer Electronics Show. CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, for those who don't know, and it basically is usually the first week of every year, first or second week of every year. It's kind of where all of the different manufacturers of various electronics come to show off their new wares for the current year, the coming year, and prototypes for beyond is basically what that is. Now that I have said that, NuJoker. What did you see that you liked?
So, to start, Razer had a prototype laptop that had not 1, not two, but three screens to it.
Indeed.
Three screens. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. Now, they are 17-inch screens, so I think this is one of those that I think we consider. I'm not going to be having this on my lap, even though it is considered to be a laptop. But I
Yeah.
thought, in a gamer's perspective, that is an absolute really cool thing to see. Now, I don't think they got too much into the specs about it. More, they wanted to focus on, this laptop has the three screens to it, but depending on what type of specs this laptop could have, I mean, it could be a serious gaming machine on there. And I mean, with
Well, I
three,
mean, they did say that it's a prototype,
yeah,
and they did say that they designed it specifically with the gamer in mind. I mean, and let's be real. If you're gaming on a laptop, you are doing it with your laptop on a table or a desk or something, like, because you're not keyboarding and mousing. You're not keyboard and mousing it with the touchpad. You know
nope.
what I'm saying? That's not happening. Um, so I really think it's just one of those things that it makes sense in terms of portability. Like what it would cost you. It's. I mean, you know as well as I do, it's going to be ridiculous, but it will probably be worth it to somebody who games seriously enough to have three screens.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you feel like you want to be that serious about gaming on a laptop. Are you switching to a PC gamer? Is that what's happening here? Are you jumping ship?
Probably not. No,
Okay. Okay.
no. I'll still play a few things here and there, but I'm steering near a deal to my consoles.
I dig it. Anything else you saw that stood out to you?
One other thing for me now, as much as I don't ride them, but Honda unveiled a self-balancing motorcycle. Now, thought that was pretty cool. The idea is the fact that accidents, for one, wouldn't happen as much because of having this self-balancing motorcycle, and just think it'd be cool to kind of, I guess, roll up to a stoplight and you're not having to, of course, take one foot off to hold yourself up. You could just stay on the bike, just ready to rev and gun it when it comes time for it. But I thought that was kind of cool as well too.
Yeah, I would agree. That's pretty freaking cool. I'm not a bike rider. I There was a time when I was like, man, I want a motorcycle, and I don't know. It lost its shine for me, but um I don't know, man. Something like a self, if it's gonna self balance, I don't know. It seems like it might take some of the fun out of it, but I guess in terms of you know what I mean, just for sitting still, you know what I mean. Like I can certainly see that. Like I certainly get that. Um, I don't know, man. I saw. I love new gadgets and tech and things like that. And there were definitely some cool things that were shown. Like LG and Samsung definitely had some cool new TVs. So did Sony. Sony really only had one major thing, which was a TV, and it was a TV that was extremely flat, but it had speakers built into it, like into the screen. So it basically used resonance on the screen to project sound towards you. So, traditionally, or at least since TVs have been begun to get thinner and thinner, they put smaller and smaller speakers in them because how else are you going to get sound that comes out of the TV?
Right.
Um, and it's funny because LG actually had a prototype that they were showing off that did the same thing. Um, I guess little did they know Sony was Sony was gonna have one there that they were ready to sell. Like they have one that's coming out. I can't remember what size the one that's coming. I know it's the smaller of the two. They have like two of them, and one is supposed to come out like sometime like this quarter, and then the other one is not is doesn't have a release date yet. They also didn't announce price for either, but the other one's not supposed to come out until later this year, in the larger size. But then LG did have they had their W series TVs, which the W literally stands for wallpaper, and these TVs are literally like wallpaper. They are
Mm.
not like you can roll them up like wallpaper, not that kind of OLED. Like they were OLED screens, but like they attached to the wall with like a magnet. They're like super light, like 16 pounds, total. Um, and they're like literally just slightly thicker than like a house key,
Wow.
and it has a like a ribbon basically that comes flat, comes down the wall from it. You know what I mean? That's attached to like a sound bar or something like that, where everything's plugged into that because obviously there's no space for inputs on the TV. So that was pretty awesome. And then Samsung actually had one. They showed their QLED TVs, which the Q is for quantum dot, which is the new tech that they're using to get all their colors and so forth on screen. Like we're not gonna over geek you on that, but um, their last year's TVs, their SUHD TVs were also quantum dot, but
Hmm.
they showed a couple, one of which that was curved and was really thin, and that joint was sitting on what looked like an easel, like a painting easel. Um, that joint was it was crazy. So there were a couple other things, man. There was some cool like, stuff like Legos, robots, and Legos kind of stuff, and a lot of UI stuff. Definitely tons of like new home security stuff, and home automation stuff. That was there. That was really cool. A lot of
Hmm.
stuff about new Wi-Fi tech. Like Linksys has a new system they're putting out where you can buy like these 3 or 4 cubes in a set so that you get a strong Wi-Fi signal throughout your whole house. Um, that joint was expensive. It was like $500 for like the set of three or what
Jeez.
have you. But you could set any one of the three of them up as the main hub. So um, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was expensive, but it was cool. And then there was a lot of talk about 5G, like replacing 4G for cell phones, and that kind of
Hmm.
speed is definitely going to make a difference in the way that we, even play games on a phone because the kind of speed and power that we're going to have in the palm of our hands is going to be ridiculous. Um, so that was kind of cool, and that was pretty much it. Like if you just want to see some of the things that they talked about, like Samsung had a a watch. They did actually, kind of step up, and they didn't, they talked about the elephant in the room with them having like exploding phones and and washing machines or whatever.
Major
So it was good
elephant
to
in the
see them
room.
as a company just kind of step up because you kind of you don't really have a choice, but at least they kind of stood up and took it on the chin. If you expect people to be able to come in and have faith in the products that you're showing them now, like, oh, here's the new stuff for next year, like, oh yeah, does that blow up too? Like,
I know
that's kind of
that's
what people are thinking. So yeah, they had some cool stuff. You guys want to see that stuff? All you have to do is go shoot over to our Facebook page. We posted a lot of the articles there from CNET and Engadget and all those folks who were lucky enough to be out there. One day, sir, we will
one
shoot
day.
our way out to CES. But on to other things. 2017. Coming up this week is Nintendo's Switch event. Happening Thursday. We're on the East Coast, so it's like 8 in the evening. Um, but, you know, hopefully we are finally going to get the last tidbits of important, pertinent information that we need about the Switch. Now, this has been, we've known for months that they were doing this event in January.
Yep.
However, they just recently announced that they are also doing a second event the following day, which is basically going to be like one of their treehouse events, like live stream kind of thing. So we'll have to see what that is. I also understand that there is a separate event, I think, in Japan. So I don't know what the differences between those are going to be, but obviously we'll be trying to tune into all that so we can make sure that we can share that information with you and all that.
Absolutely.
But because that event is happening this week, good sir, I want to know what you think they're going to tell us that we don't know. What information are we still looking for?
So, one major thing,
Hmm.
the battery life. As
Mm.
much as we know, the idea of this is to be able to take it off the dock and be
Hmm.
able to take it with you and play.
Hmm.
That battery is going to be something major.
Yeah.
And if you tell me that if I take that thing off the dock and it's only going to last me for like 2 hours, it's going to be a problem.
Well, it's going to be a real problem. I mean, look. there has to be another way. I'm sure I saw something. We got to see a glimpse of it on Jimmy Fallon, but there's got to be a way to charge it or to keep it charged when you're away from the main base, right? I mean, there has to be a
I would
way.
think car
Um,
charger, whatever, they have something extra with you because if the idea for this is to be able to travel and move around a lot with this, you got to have some kind of backup to do it. Because the other thing is, not everybody's going to want to take that dock with them. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some people that will gladly pack the whole thing up and just out of the blue, like, hey, I have my whole thing. Let's just set it up in the living room and plug it up to your TV. But not everybody's going to do that.
yeah, I mean, there's a certain there is a certain part of me that is wondering whether or not, and this is, I mean, it all depends on what. Here's the big thing for me, it's price. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am personally, I'm interested in battery life only because I know how it's going to affect the overall outlook and sales, therefore, of the unit. But bigger than that to me is what the price point of the unit is going to be in the first place and whether or not there is going to be more than one. When I say
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, like, are there going to be different versions? Are they going to do like they did with the Wii U and have one that has a higher, a larger hard drive or something like that on it? Um, and therefore an increased price point. Are they going to be in different colors? Like that kind of stuff. I know there's going to be different color accessories. Like there's no way Nintendo doesn't do that. And it might not be something they do right away, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do that. However, here's a standout thing for me. This is one of the things that I think people might be missing. I think right now people are looking at it and they're going, okay, this is cool. I can play on my TV when I'm at home, but if I want to get up and go and continue playing the same game, I just pick this screen up and I take it with me and I can go and keep playing my games, which is really, really cool. I'm good with that. But I think that Nintendo would be making a mistake if that docking system is not available to purchase by itself.
Agreed.
Because if you're telling me in kind of the same way it was like, hey, with the Wii U, you can kind of shoo the kids away so you can watch TV while they play on the screen. In kind of the same way that is to be able to say, well, nah, I just have a second dock upstairs. Just take it upstairs and put it on that dock. Right? Because obviously all the memory is either stored to the screen or it's stored in the cartridges that the game is on.
Mm-hmm.
Period. You know what I mean? Or there's an SD card slot or something somewhere. But the memory has to be able to travel with you in order for you to be able to use it. So, unless there's some kind of a hard drive that's in the base where, like, maybe you download some DLC to or something. But even then, I still don't see why. You know what I mean? Like, I would think you have to be able to take it with you.
Right.
Um, my other big thing is I want to know what the launch games are. Not the launch window, the launch
Day one, what are
day.
we going to have?
Right. You know what? Because it is not just, I don't think anymore in terms of just what the cost of the system is. I think in terms of what the cost of the system is and how much it's going to cost me to get games and an additional controller or whatever else I got to do. Like, I know I'm going to want that pro controller. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it's, if that's going to run me an additional $50, I want to know that. So if you tell me the system is 250, and that's where I'm putting my money. I'm putting my money on 250. I think
That
300
sounds
is
about
I
right.
I think 300 is asking too much. Not okay. It's not asking too much. But I do think it's a mistake because that would put Nintendo's new console at a higher price point than either an Xbox One S with a 4K Blu-ray player in it or a PlayStation 4. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I don't know. But 250 is where I think it ought to be. But if it's gonna run me 300 because I need a controller, and I know I'm gonna have to spend another $50 to $100 to get a game or two, I want to know that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know that up front. So when it's time to do pre-orders, and man, they better get this pre-order thing right. Because if this thing is
Yeah.
anything like they did with the Nintendo Classic, we are going to have a problem.
Oh,
And I
major problem.
if they can't meet demand with the people who do want it, like if the news hits on this and people do want it. Now, mind you, unlike what they did with the NES Classic, I mean, the word spread like wildfire about the NES Classic. There were people who haven't touched a video game in 20 years who were like, I need an NES Classic. Couldn't find one. Can't get their hands on one, right? But you put the Switch on Jimmy Fallon. You certainly intend for people who are not the people who, because you're talking late night TV.
Right.
You are not talking to the audience who is traditionally the people who Nintendo caters to, who buy Mario. You know what I mean? Nintendo systems are bought by adults for children most of the time, or at least that's the way that Nintendo seems to see it. And I think maybe they've come to the realization that um maybe it's time for us to realize that our fan base is adults. Like they're
Yep.
grown. You know what I mean? And so we need to find a way to do the things they like in with an aesthetic that they like. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be less Fisher Price. You know what I mean? And more ready for the world kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I think when you take something like the Switch and you put it on Jimmy Fallon on late night TV, it's adults who are going to see it. They're who's going to see it first. And so if they're ready to plunk down the money for it, man, you need to have, you got to have, you need to have units. You need
Have
units. You know
to.
what I mean? Like you just, man, if they miss that mark, if the price is perfect and the games are perfect and the price is wrong, I'm sorry, and the amount of units is wrong, they will fail. They will fail. And I think that we will end up playing Mario
Mario on the Xbox.
or on mobile permanently. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think price point is going to be?
I think you're hitting on the nail. 250. I think it's gonna be between that 250 to 300 range. Anything above 300 for this thing is just throwing it away because at that point $300, you would buy an Xbox or you're buying a PlayStation.
Yep.
Granted, yes, you'll have the portability of being able to move it around, but you get more out of having an Xbox or a PlayStation at that point. And
You're
then the
right.
same thing, the game titles.
Mm.
If you're not going to have, I know they show like say your NBA 2K17, but if you don't have those type of games at the launch, you're gonna kick yourself so bad.
Yeah.
Because like for me, for instance, that was the reason why I didn't buy the PlayStation VR. Because you remember the one game that sold the VR for me to get was that Star Trek game. Then when the VR came out, they said, "Oh no, this won't launch until first quarter 2017." So I
Right.
was like, "Well, not getting the VR now."
Yeah. Might as well
So
wait.
so if Nintendo pulls that, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Because if you tell me we're going to have maybe the choice of 5 games, and out of those 5 games at launch, they're not any of the major titles. Like it'll end up being like a Wii U Sports or Wii Sports or something like that. Oh God, I don't know what to think.
Do you think there's going to be something like that? Like, do you think there's going to be a packed in game?
I don't I don't think they're gonna actually. You know what? I take that back. I think they would do something like that just to just for you to have to try it out. Because I know there's going to be those people that one they're going to bank on something being in that box already before they buy anything else because they're going to want to really try it out and see if they're going to play it like that. And then
Yeah, but
even
I
if
mean,
it's
this is different in that it doesn't have the same kind of gimmick the last two systems had. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, there is something special about what the Switch is in terms of its home connectivity and its portability in combination. But unless there's something different that happens based on having it connected at home versus when you have it off of the main dock and you're doing something portable, say Street Pass kind of stuff or something like
mhm.
that, um, there isn't the same kind of need, in my opinion. And again, this is based on what we do know, for them to have a packed in game the way it was necessary for Wii Sports to exist. Because Wii Sports was here's how easy and simple and fun gaming can be. It doesn't have to be these complicated button presses and combinations and whatever. You can just act like you're bowling. You know what I mean? And you needed that. Like, that had to be there as the thing to show you what it was capable of. In this
True.
case, I don't know that that's as necessary. So while I do think you're right, I think there will be something packed in. I think there should be something packed in. And that, for me though, it is less in this case about Nintendo making a case for why it's important to have this machine. Like, they needed to make a case for why it was important to have the second screen for the Wii U.
Hmm.
It's not about that. It's about extending some goodwill to the people who plunk down. Like, right now, a Wii U is still more expensive than an Xbox One S or a PlayStation 4, and that is ridiculous. Now, it's one thing to say our games are a premium product. We don't ship broken titles. We don't you know what I mean? Like, and they can say that. But your product is not worth the money you're asking for it, especially not at this late stage, and you're not even really doing anything to support it. At this point, those prices should definitely have come down already.
Hmm.
Um, so I think there should be something packed in, but I don't, not for the same reason. I just think it needs to be kind of a, hey, we know that the other guys are out here, and we know what they have. You grab this, you'll have something in the box. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
just kind of as just here's some goodwill, especially to those of you who have supported us or to those of you who we let down with this product. That's just how I feel about it. Um, Let me ask you this. What titles do you think we're going to see? Not like specific, like obviously we know we're going to see Zelda. The question still remains whether or not
Which,
Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to
yeah.
be launched day one or not. Um, and we know in the trailer they had that Skyrim game, but Bethesda already said that wasn't really a thing. It was just something they did to show off. So maybe that doesn't even exist really for the Switch. Same thing with the NBA 2K17 game, or what looked like 2K17. But we did see a Mario game we haven't seen before.
Hmm.
So I will tell you that I am expecting to see that game. I am expecting to get a name for that game, and I'm expecting that game is the pack-in game. I think they want you to pay for Zelda, but I think they're going to give you Mario.
Give you
And I think
Mario.
they're going to use
That kind of makes
Mario to
sense.
sell the system. You cannot sell that system with Zelda. You just can't. As long as Zelda's been around, as popular as Zelda is nowhere near as popular as Mario. And I think that there is some math being done that says, hey, we just put Mario in the hands of all of these people who never played a Mario game. All of these adults who have iPhones who've never played a Mario game. And now we're going to put this thing out that has a Mario game in it. And we're going to give it to you. And it's
Hmm.
going to be at this price. And I would be willing to wager that Mario Run hits the Android store around the same time as the release date for the Switch. Hmm?
Mm.
Hmm?
Mm.
Hmm?
Mm. Mm.
Hmm? I mean, I'm just saying. That's what I think is going to happen. But what other titles do you think? Like, I'm just going to throw some stuff out there. You yay it or nay it, okay? You ready? Here we go.
Yeah, go.
Pikmin. Hmm?
Nay.
Nay. Okay. Fire Emblem.
Yay.
Okay. Pokemon. Hmm.
Definite yay.
Okay. So
Let
wait,
me
we're
say
gonna
it this
stop. We're
way.
gonna stop right there. Go ahead.
So I think, well, we do know this. There's supposedly there's two Pokemon games in the works. There's the one that's supposed to be like a bridge between the two newest ones, Sun and Moon. And as far as like integration, of course, there's nothing. This is just speculation right now. There's nothing showing how the two of those are going to potentially work with this game.
Right.
And then there was supposed to be a second one that was kind of like just a standalone, almost like how Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Snap, something along the lines of that.
Okay.
Um, to me, I think Nintendo would shoot themselves in the foot. Like, don't get me wrong, like Pokemon Go came out, people, it was like, granted, this was mobile. It started great and then it kind of just faded off. Now,
Yeah.
I think this would be, say, like for me, if another Pokemon Stadium game came out, I would be so ecstatic for that, and I think there's a lot of people that would. But the only thing that you look at it as, are we? Is it too late now to do a Pokemon Stadium game? Because think about it, you used to be able to take, well, Nintendo 64. You put the game pack in, you put your game cartridge in, and you could transfer all your Pokemon over to it and use them in that game. Now, would they allow it to use with just Sun and Moon, or would they let them use it with some? Maybe I would say maybe one generation ago, 2 generations ago with the game. But then you're going to have people that are like, well, I got all these Pokemon from such and such and such and such, but it's kind of late for that.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna throw out there on that, and this is part of why I stopped on Pokemon. I'm not a Pokemon fan. You already know that. Said that
Yeah, we
many
are. I
times
think
on this
everybody knows
show.
that by now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Pokemon is brilliant, and so I have a lot of respect for Pokemon. But do you remember, like, maybe a year or so ago when the NX rumors were like hot and heavy and like you just couldn't turn a corner and not get a new rumor? Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember them being like the new the new Nintendo system was in some way, shape, or form going to be like compatible with like the PlayStation 4 and you know what I mean? Like all
I
that
do
stuff about it
remember.
being portable and like, okay, you don't think that there's some way, shape, or form where in which you're going to be able to there'll be some connectivity between say Super Mario Run and this Mario game and or Pokemon Go and a new Pokemon game? Let's think wait and before we get too far, let's think Amiibo. And what Amiibo, because Amiibos kind of died off, but there's no
They
reason
did.
for them to talk about Amiibo right now because anything they say about Amiibo can only be geared towards 3DS, which is a whole other issue right now because, again, I think that this is something that's going to replace the 3DS or 3DS will be that thing that Nintendo says, well, this is our thing for kids and this is our thing for adults or whatever. But this certainly could, with it, in terms of its portability, be something that ends up replacing the 3DS because people don't even make use of the 3D anymore.
Nope.
But you have Amiibo support. iPhones, if I'm not mistaken, have NFC built into them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Amiibo work using NFC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all it would technically take, there's no way, there is no way that the Switch doesn't have NFC. They showed Amiibo in the trailer. So clearly they're gonna have something to do with this system. All it would really take is for them to program some version of NFC that reads from your iPhone. Again, now, Apple has to open that up because I
Of
believe it's
course.
closed up on Apple's end. But it's possible, right? That there's an NFC, or really, I mean, if there's a login, a sign, because you have to sign in, right? You have to have like a Google account or something like that. Like you have to, because I remember there being serious issues with Pokemon Go, like when it first released,
Oh
with people
yeah.
having issue with their account and logging in and stuff like that. So you got to be logged in somehow. So there's nothing stopping them from having it connected to the internet and having a way for you to get your data. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Some kind of connectivity that says, oh, you captured this many Pokemon in Pokemon Go, you get this. Or it boosts your incubation. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, hey, you can accelerate the incubation of these eggs without walking around as long as your main thing is in the cradle, like it's an incubator, as long as your switch is in the cradle. If you're up with it and you're walking around with it, you're getting incubation by walking around and
Right.
getting kilometers or whatever. But when it's plugged in, if it's in the cradle, there's something like, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the kind of things that I'm looking for them to say, because there's always some additional gimmick. There's always something else that Nintendo has. Again, something like a Street Pass, right? So they could do a Pokemon Stadium. They could do a Pokemon Stars to go with Sun, Moon, and Stars. They could do that. But is it day one? Eh?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I want it to be day one. I need something to play.
I mean, you're right. Okay, well, okay. So, Metroid, yay it or nay it?
As much as I would love Metroid to be a day one, I don't think it will be.
Okay, so then let's do this. They showed Mario Kart
Uh
in
huh.
the trailer, and it was like a Mario Kart that had it looked like Double Dash, but it had like new stages and like characters that weren't in Mario Kart 8. So some kind of changed, remastered, or revamped version of Mario Kart was shown. Do we get
Hmm.
this? Mario
I
Kart?
think that. I think yes, because for like say if they are aiming this as more of the adult crowd, I'll
Hmm.
tell you because I'm hands down. I'll be one of them that's gonna buy Mario Kart straight up.
I mean, I hear that, but I guess my question it would be it's highly unlike Nintendo to give you a full-on Mario game and a Mario Kart at the same time. You understand what I'm saying?
Unless like you were saying, maybe it's not a necessarily a new Mario Kart. It's just a revamp, or maybe it's just a digital download. Maybe it's one of the older ones, and hey, you get a couple extra new levels, a couple extra new characters, or something like that. That could be a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, man. We only got to wait a couple days at this point. So,
Yep.
we'll know by the end of this week and we shall discuss again next week. That's for
Yes, we
sure.
shall.
Um hey, listen. Let's you did a review for Final Fantasy 15. So, we're going to take a moment. We're going to let everybody listen to that review. And then when we do that, we're going to come back talk a little bit about that. Okay? So, let's listen to that review right now.
So after about a decade worth of development, we finally have Final Fantasy 15 in our hands, available to play. Now, for those that have been intimidated just because this is the 15th installment of the Final Fantasy franchise, let me first just let you know this is a game that you can pick up and play without worrying about those other 14 chapters. Just as the message says before you begin the game, this is a Final Fantasy for fans and first timers. I've played the game now just over 80 hours, and I thought this would be a good time to share some of my opinions of Final Fantasy 15 with you guys. Your main characters of the game, Noctis, Ignis, Gladiolus, and Prompto, this is what will follow the four of them. Now, you only get to play as Noctis, but his three friends play a major role in the game. They are best friends, so as you play through the game, you'll notice there'll be a lot of communication between each of them. To me, this is one of the great aspects of the game. It's just the bond between the four of them and how it just goes deep throughout the whole entire game. Some comparisons to some of the other Final Fantasy games. It does include real time combat, which is a little bit different from some of the other Final Fantasies where it's mostly turn based. I really do enjoy the open world aspect of the game. So, as you're traveling with your three companions, you'll notice there's a lot of communication as well still between them. So, you can travel between, of course, walking, you'll drive your car, or, of course, you'll be able to ride a chocobo, something that a lot of Final Fantasy fans will be familiar with. Depending on how you decide to play Final Fantasy 15, there is a lot of things that can be done in this game. Now, whether you decide to just play the main storyline or if you decide to do the side quests, there is an absolute, I don't want to say it's endless, but there's so much that you can do in this game. Now, if you choose to play through the main storyline, you can probably finish it in about 40 hours or so. With the side missions, you can go just like I am. Like right now, I'm over the 80-hour mark. There's so much to do. I would recommend playing through some of those side quests though, because there are certain things that will help you along the story, whether it be certain items that you'll obtain or certain weapons. They will help you out throughout the whole entire game. Also, not to mention, this will also help leveling up a lot faster than just playing the main storyline. Now, whereas you don't necessarily have to complete the side quest in order to finish the main story, it will make things a lot easier for you. As you progress through the story, at points it can get a little confusing, but nonetheless, it doesn't take away from the fun of the game. overall, I would have to give it a solid 8 out of 10. A lot of positive things on the note. The hours of gameplay that you can get out of it, the fact that you can jump right in and play it. It has some nostalgia feel from other Final Fantasy games on things that happen, things like the Chocobo feels, still being able to use magic and things along the lines of that. But on the reverse side, there are some things that rub me the wrong way. Just for instance, summonings. If you're familiar with the Final Fantasy world, that is something that's a big thing with any Final Fantasy game that you've played. You don't have so much control over doing summonings in the game. And at times, the camera can be a little bit of its own villain against you as well, too. But even after waiting all this time, I will say it was absolutely worth it. I'm really looking forward to the DLC that's going to drop for it. I think there's a lot more that's going to be added in that may change my opinion, may make me think a little bit more of the game, but overall, I think it's still a wonderful game to play it. Anybody would enjoy it.
All right. Good job, sir. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Appreciate your time and effort on that. Clearly, you're having a blast. I'm enjoying the game as well. Is there anything? Is there anything else? Anything you left out? Anything you want to say still about the game itself?
Um, Now I will say after you beat the game, of course, there's still going to be tons of things for you to do. Now there are going to be some in-game things that you will be able to do. Now, I won't. I'm not going to spoil anything as much as I can. But once you beat the game, for some of the, as long as you have gone to certain dungeons,
Yeah.
you're going to have access to go back into those dungeons and take it another level and actually go deeper into them. I just started doing them myself. Now, I will say they're not no little short in and out kind of things. So you're gonna have to dedicate, I would say, 30 to 45 minutes probably for each dungeon. I would say just as the first one I've completed and the second one I'm almost completed. It took a little bit longer to do.
Okay.
Now you do get some more weapons out of there, and these are you'll get a lot stronger in comparison to some of the ones that you currently have right now. Um, and I do know this with one of those dungeons, it finally makes use of your little small spoiler, your flying regalia, where you
Yeah.
have to use it in order to get to this specific dungeons. There's no way around it. If you if you have to use the flying regalia to get it.
Okay. I was literally getting ready to ask you, can you just because there's a lot of dungeons that are there are dungeons that are in the game that are not part of any mission. They're just there and
Mm-hmm.
you can just find them and go to them. So I was getting ready to ask, are these dungeons that you can just go to without that? But if you have to have the flying regalia, then that means you have to beat the game, which of course is still one of my issues
Mm-hmm.
with the game is that you don't get the ability to fly or to get to certain things until after you've already finished the story. But I guess that gives you a reason to keep playing after you finish the story. So
Definitely. I will say there is one dungeon that I would say if you have to just randomly come across it playing the game. Now this is one you'll find as you're playing the game, but it's not a part of any side quest or anything like that. Now I will say there's a couple of side quests that bring you close to this dungeon. And unless you just, if you're like me, if you like to explore and you go out to try to find different things, you probably won't even realize it. Because once you get to the end, it doesn't tell you specifically, but there's four specific dungeons that you have to visit in order to trigger or to unlock the end game extra dungeons to get into. So I'm not going to spoil that one,
hmm.
but just know if you don't do some extra exploring, you're probably going to miss this one dungeon.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I know I hit a couple of them when I was just roaming around. And again, I haven't finished it. I think I'm in like chapter 5, something like that. And I'm almost like level 70 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But again, I'm having a good time with the game. I'm enjoying it. Those of you who are listening, let us know what you think of the game. Did you pick it up? Did you not get a chance to get it until, Christmas or for Hanukkah or something like that? And so you're just now kind of making your way through it. Um, we've had the game since release, but thought it was relevant for there to be a review at this point, because a lot of people are just getting it or
Hmm.
maybe are considering getting it because there have been a lot of sales that have still been going on over the last couple of weeks. Now that people maybe have new systems and that kind of stuff. So, again, thank you for that. Solid
Not a problem. Oh, and
8.5.
and
I wouldn't
and one little
necessarily disagree.
one little
What's
other
up?
thing. I am happy to say that I have reached level 99 with all my characters too. I'm really
Oh,
happy for
really?
that.
You
I'm
know
really
what?
happy for that.
I'm happy for that too. I'm happy and I'm proud of you, sir. Now what? Now what do you do? Now what?
Can't do nothing. All the
Yeah,
experience that I collect is just useless.
it's just sitting there. Gosh, you should be able to do something like cash that in and get money or something. I don't know.
I'm hoping maybe some expansion inside of the DLC. Maybe I
Cash it
don't
in for
know.
gas for the regalia or something.
Don't
Who
need that.
knows? Yeah, I guess not, huh? All right. So listen, we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, continuing our talk about 2017, we're gonna talk about some of the upcoming games and movies, just things that we're excited for that are coming up this year. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we are back. Episode 49, Snacking and Hanging Podcast. We are discussing things about 2017 that we are excited for. We've already talked about the Switch. We've
Hmm.
already talked about CES, which already happened. Um, Now it's time to talk about other things that are coming. And I want to just say last year was a milestone year in terms of pure geek like culture. Like there was so much like there last year was a great year for games, shooters, RPGs, people have been waiting forever for Last Guardian, forever for Final Fantasy 15. You got Titanfall 2, you got new Call of Duty, you got Battlefield 1, you had Overwatch, you had Watch Dogs 2, like Dishonored 2. There were just tons of games,
Hmm.
but then there were also like tons of movies. I mean, last year we got, even in comic books, like the Power Rangers comic book series that Boom Studios was doing. We got the crossover of Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York. You
That's
know what I
dope.
mean? We got Doctor Strange. We got Civil War. I mean, dude, there's just last year was so chock. Like every month there was something. As a matter of fact, every month there were a few things. It seems like if you look at
Yeah,
last year, but this year is seriously shaping up to either match or beat that. Um,
agreed.
and so I'm pretty excited. Like, we've kind of gotten into this thing where now, especially with games, over the last couple of years, we started to see games kind of miss their holiday releases or get pushed out of the holiday because of the number of things that are coming out during the holiday. And so we're beginning to see games get released in January and in February and in March, and that's not typical. And
Hmm.
so and we're beginning to see games get pushed and end up coming out in the summer months. And so now it's like we get game releases all year long, and that just didn't used to happen. And so the year, it's actually it's easier to forget some of the things, you know what I mean, that have come out or that happen, from the beginning of the year on. Um, but having said that, let's talk a little bit about what we're excited. You want to start with games? You want to start with movies?
Start with games.
Okay. What's the first game you're looking forward to 2017? Like what's coming?
We finally got a release date for it as well too, which makes it even better.
Okay.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
No doubt. March 21st.
That
March
is
21st.
by far. Yep, that is by far. I don't want. Do I want to say that's number one? I would say that's definitely going to be within that top five. I know there's a couple others, and it's like, oh, it's crazy. But we've been waiting. This is another game we've been waiting for a while. Like we've known of the existence of Andromeda for how long now? Would you say?
like 3 or 4
3 or
years.
4
At
years.
least 3 or 4 years. I mean, look, we had to figure that there was a fourth game in the works in some way at the end of the last trilogy. You know what I mean? At the end of the trilogy. So
Hmm.
maybe even longer than that, really.
Probably, but I'm really excited for that. To finally, we finally saw some gameplay, an actual gameplay from it, which was absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
that's definitely gonna be
Yeah.
another one that I'm gonna be putting some serious time into. I can already see that now. And
Yeah.
then
I mean, go ahead.
on top of
Go ahead.
that, I mean, just as another one that finally got a release date, Injustice 2.
Yep. May. Yeah. It's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem. That's one of my most anticipated is Injustice too. I'm just gonna be straight up with you, cause that the last Injustice was so good. It was so good, and that was a couple years ago because last year we got Mortal Kombat X.
Mm-hmm.
Or was Mortal Kombat X the year before that?
No, that was the year before.
It
That
was
was
the
the
year
year
before
before.
because they like in the summer or whatever they did like the Mortal Kombat XL. They did a new version of it that had everything in it.
Mm-hmm.
That had all the DLC and all that kind of stuff in it. And there was still, if you remember, there were still rumors of like some other characters still ending up in it, and that just never happened.
Yeah.
But probably because they were working on Injustice 2. So Injustice was a while back because Injustice was originally released on the 360 and the PS3.
Yep.
And then it got a re-release or like a HD, like a remastered version on PlayStation 4. Maybe 2 years, like the first year that the PlayStation, so in 2013. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a good while, since we've had an Injustice, and I'm like super excited, super excited. I'm excited about For Honor.
Yes.
That's coming soon. That's Valentine's Day. Um, we got a chance to play the alpha for that, which we both thoroughly enjoyed.
Yes.
And man, I'm looking forward to getting to that with like we tried so hard to get our other team members from Loading Snacks into that game with us. Like tried so hard to get them into that alpha because we just were having such a good time. We wanted them in there with us too. Like I cannot wait for all of us to have that game in our hands. And it is disgusting that they are doing it on Valentine's Day. There's too many wives and girlfriends out here for that. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
I'll
Don't
have it
don't.
downloaded.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm gonna be playing by myself. I don't love nobody. Now I'm playing, but but um, but yeah, that's disgusting. But we're also getting at the end of February, like the 28th, so like the last day of the month, I believe. But Horizon Zero Dawn coming for the PlayStation,
Uh-huh.
which arguably is PlayStation's new flagship title. Like this looks like it's ready to replace Uncharted because Uncharted is, at least as far as that first series is concerned, is done.
Done.
And
Yeah.
what they have that's coming for it, we probably won't see this year, but it also doesn't seem like it's ready to actually replace the mainline game yet. So we'll see what happens with that. We know we're not going to see Last of Us for years. So
Oh God.
Horizon is like the thing that seems to have the most potential for being, because PlayStation has been extremely miss, not hit or miss, extremely miss when it comes to their, like their big titles that are exclusive to them. Um, I mean, they haven't really. Bloodborne was cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it was exclusive, but it wasn't like second party, like the way, you know what I mean? Like the way Uncharted was. Like Uncharted was cool, but they've had some serious misses, and they have basically missed every holiday target for their exclusives has completely missed. So I think a game like that is a good game for February, for the end of February, going into March, kind of getting spring fever on the mind and going into like holidays like Easter or something like that. that kind of a game, kind of open exploration, is a good time for that. Because that game may have been eaten alive if it had to come out during the holiday against the shooters.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I'm really looking forward to that. What else is kind of sitting on your plate that you're excited about?
I guess sticking with. Actually, you know what? I just thought of one that I actually forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yep, I'm all about that. That's March
I
too,
almost
I
forgot
believe.
about that. But because
Yeah,
we've
I think I
seen
want to say, I want to say that is like the same week.
it's March 7th.
I Is it okay? So it's the first week of March,
Yeah.
and then 2 weeks. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem. Uh, we also are getting ukulele, and I don't know. Do you care even about? Are you a Banjo Kazooie fan at all?
I like Banjo Kazooie. It was fun, man. I miss Banjo Kazooie.
Okay,
I'll probably
well
pick it up
then
though.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, man. There's so much stuff coming out this year. Well, we hope it all comes out this year. Um,
Yes, please, no last minute. Oh, we're gonna push this back. Like, no, don't do it.
I mean, it's bound to happen to some stuff, but like
I
right
know.
now, I'm hoping that Scalebound manages to actually come out this year for the Xbox. They've been talking about it. It was supposed to be last year, and I think it's going to be early this year, even though they haven't given us a date, and they've been quiet. It was supposed to be this past holiday, but they did say that they were trying to like get it out of the way of all the big holiday games, which is
Right.
probably smart. But I feel like it would have been smart for them to have given us a date, and it could have been kind of the same thing as Quantum Break from the year before, where Quantum Break ended up getting pushed and got like a March release.
Hmm.
Um, that would have been a good March release, but considering we haven't heard anything about that, I'm a little unsure of it. And I think we're gonna see probably some fluctuation with stuff coming from Microsoft's camp because we know that they got to be baking stuff to try to wait for Scorpio to drop.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so, like when they announced the release date for Mass Effect, they specifically said that it's not like a Scorpio game. You know what I mean? Like they haven't done anything special or specific for it. Obviously, that could change later on, but we won't hear anything about that or know anything specific probably until E3, as far as that's concerned. But that's the other. I mean, that's to me, that's the elephant in the room. Like we have Switch to deal with right now, but then at the end of the year, I'm assuming like August for real, like they did with the 1S. Somewhere August, September, we'll probably get Scorpio. I don't think they're gonna try to wait until holiday unless they just
Nah.
don't have the units. I think they're gonna try to get it out ahead of holiday, um, so that people can see what it can do, buy games, and people will be prepared. Like this year, if we thought last year was the year everybody was gonna jump to 4Ks, this year people are definitely going to be jumping on 4Ks. Like it's getting harder and harder to find a 1080p TV.
Hmm.
So this holiday, people are going to be ready. They're either going to have them already or going to be ready to go. And so I think this is going to be a catalyst for kind of making that happen. So that's another thing that I'm just really excited about. I'm excited about Cuphead. We don't have a date, but I've been waiting for that game for a long time, and I just needed to be this year. So I'm excited about it, and I'm hoping that it's this year. They say at some point this year. So hopefully we get that.
At some point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I loved Inside. Again, kind of a smaller indie game. There were a lot of great indie games this past year. There have been a lot of great indie games in years past too, but it's just kind of more prevalent now, I feel like. And so I'm just kind of like hoping that we really do see some like serious indie games that will hit. I think are going to kind of take things. But here's what's interesting to me. You didn't say Resident Evil 7.
Hmm.
I mean, that's coming out this month. That comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not sure. I'm hearing really good things about Resident Evil. I really am. But I'm also hearing that like the definitive way to play it is really in VR.
Yeah, and
I'm probably
that's
not ready for that. but I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest, man. Like I'm probably not ready for that. Um, but I,
Yeah, I mean, if I'd had my VR, I would have it.
yep,
Had Star Trek had came out, I
yep.
would have the VR, and I probably would be copying Resident Evil for the VR. But nah, we shall see.
Are are you gonna get the new Kingdom Hearts?
I am definitely going to get the new Kingdom Hearts after years and years of years. I'm going to get it. I just want to finish it. Hopefully, it'll be a good finish.
Are you going to do like? I mean, look, Kingdom Hearts 3. I played the first Kingdom Hearts. That's the only one I've played. I liked it. Okay, I couldn't do it after that. I don't really know why. I just never got back on it. But they have like I can't even with these titles. It's like Kingdom Hearts
Oh,
two
God, it drives you
point
crazy.
eight something HD 13
I hate
remix
the
supersonic edition.
it's
Like I don't
yeah.
know what it is.
It's called, and the thing is, it's called 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Like what? Like,
Yeah,
because that
but
makes it.
isn't there something else? Like I think there's another one though. Like I think there's two. I think there's another Kingdom Hearts game that's coming as well. I could be I don't know. But 2.8? What is this?
It's an update. Like, we forgot some things, so we're gonna give you 2.8.
I don't know. It feels like one of those things that they do just to kind of bowl you over, but I feel like if you had been working on 3 instead of working on this, 3 could be done.
3 would have been
But
out a long time ago.
I don't know. It's probably something they have a side studio doing or something like that. Like it's probably not, like the main, like Square themselves are probably not doing it. They probably have somebody else doing it, and adding content or whatever. I don't know, man. Now look, we know Sin is all about the Yakuza,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes out this month too.
It does.
Well, the Yakuza Zero does. The Yakuza 5, I think, is supposed to be hitting, or it's either Yakuza 5 or 6 is supposed to hit, I guess, this year. But Yakuza 0 is supposed to be coming, which I I can't remember if this. I guess this is the actual prequel, and then there's the other game that's like the HD remake of
The
the
first one.
yeah. Hey, listen, we're gonna keep talking about this too because if you remember, Sin said he was gonna pay for us to play the first one.
He
He said
did
he was
say
gonna. He
that.
said that. He said that. I don't know if that's what y'all heard, but that's what I heard. He said he was gonna pay for it, so I'm all about it. Yeah, but I don't know, man. There's so much. Like, there's so much that this year is going to be. First of all, this year is going to be really expensive. So let's start there. Um, because there's just so much stuff, dude. We haven't even gotten to movies yet. We're still talking about games. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk movies. Let's do this. Let's talk movies, so we can kind of bring this to it. Now, when I say I'm gonna try to keep it focused on like comic book movies, because there's just a lot of those alone
Mm-hmm.
this year. So we got Wonder Woman
Oh
and
yes.
Justice League this year. We got Thor and Spider-Man this year. Guardians 2 is this year. Logan
Logan kicks off the year.
is this year. Do you count Lego Batman? Is that I mean, I guess it's a comic book movie, but
I
it's
guess
not like
technically it's Batman. So I mean, it's Batman. So I guess we can count it.
it's not the same.
It's still Batman. We should let Coop have that argument there. I'm sure he could try to justify it in every
Why
possible way
should we
forward.
let Coop have that when Coop hasn't been on an episode of Snacking and Hanging since like episode 15 or something? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have to give him. I don't have to give him anything at all. You kidding me? Not at all, dude. Um. Yeah, man. I'm not. There's so much happening, and then you still got TV, and I'm not even gonna get into TV because there's too much going on with all of that Arrowverse. That's all you,
Mm-hmm.
buddy. You can have that. I think I'm gonna check out. I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm checking out on the TV series right now, except for Agents of Shield. I still love Agents of Shield. I do like Supergirl though, man. You think Wonder Woman's gonna be good?
I think it's gonna be awesome. I honestly, I'm gonna. I think Wonder Woman is actually gonna be better than Justice League.
Okay, I do too.
I,
Actually,
I, that,
I agree with
I
that.
really do. As much as I'm happy we're finally getting the Justice League movie. I think Wonder Woman is gonna be better.
I mean, I can't really argue with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my concerns, but I feel better about it. Um, Having seen the second trailer
Mm-hmm.
than I did about it after the first trailer. I still feel like it might be a little bit too much of a rehash of the first Captain America film, but I still think it's gonna be good. I do think it's gonna be good. I'm a little concerned about Spider-Man too. Um, but I don't know, man. Like Justice League, who do you think is going to be the the who do you think is going to be the enemy in the Justice League movie? I'm
They
still
s-
concerned.
I-
Like
they
I
s-
just don't see why they all need to be in this movie together. If it's not Darkseid,
I guess they got to start somewhere. So I guess they got to begin to put them together. Because I mean, if they did that, it would end up being which one was it? Was that War where they first all got together? If I remember right, the
yeah,
animated
yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
It pretty much would end up being that.
Okay. I mean,
The only thing is, I
okay.
think like they said who the villain was, but it's not a
I think
one of your.
it's dark. It's not Darkseid. I think it's Steppenwolf.
That's it. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna tell you now, I'm not real thrilled about that, but okay. I mean, I'm not like
Yeah.
mad.
So
I'm
I
not
mean,
mad about it. I guess I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I do think that there's potential in that movie, but the, it has. I think there's more potential for them to do it wrong than potential for them to do it right. If that makes sense,
nah, that makes sense.
I'm a little bit concerned. Um, Elephant in the room. We haven't discussed Power Rangers yet. We're
Hmm.
gonna end this on Power Rangers. I'm gonna let this be the last thing we talk about because I know this one's for you, sir. Because I don't care.
So yeah, I'm
I
really
mean, I
excited
do.
for it.
It's actually
Now,
that's not true. You know what? Let me take that back. I apologize, sir. It's not that I don't care. I actually do care because I actually do really want to see what they do with this. I think that there's a lot of potential in Power Rangers if it's taken seriously. And I think it's too easy to not take Power Rangers seriously. And I think that's on purpose.
hmm
You know what I mean? Because of the audience that it technically is intended for. Intended for. Um,
probably.
or at least the audience that it was originally intended for, which is clearly a younger audience. But obviously there are a lot of people who love, the newer stuff and the kind of stuff that's geared towards kids even now is just a lot more sophisticated than it used to be. Um and the kind of shows they watch, the level of comedy that exists. I know a lot of it goes over their heads. You know what I mean? But even like regular cartoons seem to be, they're just more sophisticated now. Kids just know more because they have access to more now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's a good idea to take the Power Rangers from what it was and give it like it needs a little adrenaline, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'll let you have the rest of it. It's all you.
But yeah, like I'm really excited for it. It's like after all these years for them to do something with it. It's like we know this is the one hurdle that a lot of people in my age group just can't get over. Like this is not the same. This is going to be a whole re-envision of the Power Rangers. So it's not going to be the exact same thing that we all knew and loved 20 some odd years ago. And
Yeah.
a lot of people still can't get over that. It's not in the sense of saying for nostalgia it's for us, but it's not directly geared for us. Um like I'm gonna see it nonetheless. I mean, I've been on board with the movie since day one.
Yeah.
I've had my little moments like when they unveiled some of the toys, like and we saw Alpha, and I was a little weirded by Alpha, but I had to say the same thing to myself. This is different. It's not going to be the same. So I had to hold that back, and I'm gonna wait until I actually see the final product to throw any judgment out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I get that, but let me be the one to say Alpha was weird the first time you saw him. I mean, for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got arms and legs, but he's got a head like a spaceship. You know what I mean? He doesn't have
mm-hmm,
like eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's weird. You know what I mean? So he has a slightly more alien form, which I think makes sense. I think that the
it does.
idea of as odd as this is gonna say, trying to ground this movie with some level of reality by really making it an alien force, because to a certain extent, the first like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is basically what this is a reboot of, like you don't really get. Well, first of all, they don't really have powers. Let's start there. Like, they get to call the Zords or whatever and they can fight, but they don't really have like powers. Like, these kids are going to get like powers. You know what I mean? Super strength and speed and jumping and stuff like that. Um, but I think trying to say, oh, we found this like alien tech kind of thing or something along those lines just makes it make more sense, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. But I am interested in it. I think it's gonna be bad, but I don't know if it's going to be a good kind of bad, because technically that's what Power Rangers is now. Like, this has the potential to still be like a cult classic kind of phenomenon. I think the issue is that when Power Rangers hit, as far as a live action TV show is concerned, and as far as the movie version of that same thing, when those original things hit, you didn't have these really, really great superhero movies to compare them to, and
True.
superhero TV shows to compare them to. And now you do. So I'm a little bit concerned about it being held to a standard that isn't technically the same as what, again, because Power Rangers, they are superheroes, I guess, but it's not the same thing. Is that, yeah?
I get what you're saying. I mean, we'll kind of see. I guess we'll really start to see how strong they are when that Power Rangers Justice League comic comes out, and
I,
then
I was just getting ready to ask about that. Isn't that like this week?
I is that this?
I think it's this week. I
I
think it's
think
first week of January it was supposed to come out, or second week of
it's either
January.
this week or next week. I know that for a fact because I
All
got
right,
mine's in my already set up for my subscription box
your
at Third Eye
box.
Comics. Oh
Got you.
yeah, mine's are going to be there waiting for me to when they come out.
Yeah. Okay, I can dig that. All right. Well, listen, that's the stuff we're looking forward to in 2017. Did we miss something? If we missed something, let us know. By all means, feel free to to hit us up in the comments or shoot us an email. You can email us at loadingsnacks@gmail.com. You can email me or NuJoker directly by using our names, gage.loadingsnacks@gmail.com or NuJoker, that's NuJoker 89 at gmail.com. You can find us on all the social media platforms. I'm Empty Shells, letter M, letter T, SHELLZ. Across your Instas and your Facebooks and, well, I mean, Twitters and all that. And NuJoker is NuJoker 89 across those platforms, and you can follow him at NuJoker's Adventures on Facebook. Do me a favor and go over and like that. And while you're there, go ahead and stop by our Loading Snacks Facebook page. Give us a like and a share. And don't forget to hit us up on YouTube so you can see what kind of content we have posted there. Lots of videos and things, and we do some very silly things. We eat some very nasty things. But we have a lot to talk about, so we don't get to do it all on this podcast. And so if you'd like to hear more of what we have to say about the things that we love and hate in some cases, make sure you check us out there. We also do have a 30-minute show that airs on RIP TV, ripradionetwork.com every Tuesday at 10 p.m. So you can certainly tune into that and check us out. We do a lot of interviews and things like that with cosplayers and artists and, that kind of stuff, indie game folks and all that jazz. So please check that out too. I want to thank you all for listening. NuJoker, anything else you want to say to the folks?
Nah, I appreciate you guys listening to us. Just make sure, follow us everywhere else so you can follow everything else that we be doing.
Hilarious when somebody says no, they don't have anything else to say, and then they say a bunch of stuff after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it. Yeah.
Anyway, look, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are out. Thank you for tuning in. Toodles and Loos.